Hello everyone. In today's video I'm going to show you how you can create a custom node first, and this custom node can work as a dynamic or automatic change up from a grid of points and change that or create from the grid of points the lines that connect those grids. If you remember in earlier videos, I was talking about creating a parametric beam system in Revit, and I was talking about a specific custom node that I made that was I think it's called grid points to horizontal and vertical lines. And this node is simple. It's just a custom node that I made. You give it a grid of points and it can create for you the grid or connecting line between each points out of that grid. And I got one of my dear subscriber, Soyoung, is just asking how I can create that, and also he was asking about how to create custom node. So here I am. So I'm just trying to answer your question and also to explain that in more detail in the Dynamo environment. So I'd really prefer to set up the units into meters here in Revit, and of course Dynamo will follow that, and I highly recommend to create it first in the Dynamo environment, not in a function or a custom node. So first you go ahead and create your own points, which is for the current condition, will be within the Dynamo environment, not in a custom node system. As I said, I'm just going to delete this one. I'm going to keep that one, and just for simplicity I'm going to go from 0 to 20 and jumping each 10. So give that like one jump, two jumps. If you open that, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's just like from 0, 10 to 20, and give that also to Y, getting like a diagonal thing. And in the lacing, you just change that to the cross product to get your first grid of points. So, as I said, it's a grid of point and it's a sub-listing. That's the main input for our nodes for today. And now we need to create, I'm going to create the nodes required to do this function, to draw lines automatically, horizontal and vertical lines that I used here to create, beams, for example. Each line here, horizontal one or vertical one, will represent later on a beam. So you might need this, to be done. It's really useful. I tried that in a couple of projects, and first I'm going to create it again in the Dynamo environment, then I'm creating a custom node and show you the difference. Here in the direct Dynamo environment, you can test and you can see and you can design and fix, but when you send it to the custom node, it's really harder to control each value. It's really hard to test during the design process. So it's really important to keep that in mind, to design and test within the Dynamo environment before you go to the custom node. Anyway, so I'm gonna go and shift. I'm getting asked for a list dot shift indices, and I'm going to take this one. I'm connecting the list of points, and I'm going to give it let's say -1. So I'm going to remove the last of that list. I'm just shifting this, so I'm making this one instead of this one instead of this, and then this one instead of that. So that's what I actually did. So you see, if it's those 10, 10, 10 became the list number 0, and instead of list number 0 instead of it was list number 1, and the list 2, which is 0, 0, 0, became the first one, and so on, became the last one actually. And recently it was the number 0. And this guy became here number 1, but before it was number 2. So that's what the shifting with -1 did. And that's what we need actually. And by that, you're going to create a line that starts from the origin, from those points, and ends with the shifted points. So it's going to start from 0 to 10, from 10 to 20, which is what we want. 3 points, so that means 2 lines. This guy gonna connect from 20 to 0 again, and we totally really don't need that. Okay, and in order to show you more, if you didn't understand it, it's really important to get list dot get item at an index. This dude, it's like a testing loop, so you connect that guy, and probably you need a slider, and it's an integer one, so yep, this one, and you connect that, and I'm not gonna open this, just I'm gonna keep that 0 and then select, and you see those are the first lines. That's what we need. And if you push that a little bit as a 1, and you selected this one, what we want, so the last one is 2, and when you select it, to represent from the start to the end. And now that's the time to get rid of the last one. We don't need a beam to, you know, run from here to here, and that will overlap if you send that to Revit as a beam. Anyway, it's really not what we want, so you have to get rid of that long one. So it's list.drop, actually drop item. You can use the list.drop last item. I think it's available in the package if you want to download it, but I'm gonna design it by myself. So this is a testing loop, so you can disconnect it if you want later on. Just get the list again, and in it, this dude, I think it did the job automatically. And let's see if it's working properly. So this is the list that we have, and how much it is dropping. It's needing an integer, so I'm gonna give it let's say 1. Let's see what it will do. I have no idea of what it's actually, you know, supposed to do. I'm gonna give it the list in here, and let's see what what's actually done in here. So we have now 3 set of lines. It sounds perfectly what we want. I'm gonna get that back, and let's see which one is 0. This one is 0, and if I want to push that to 1, and that's number 1, the overall one, so we actually turning off the incorrect one. So number 1 here, let's double check again what we have. We cancel the one with the 10, we kept the one with the 10, we kept the one with the 20, and we removed the first one, and that's totally not what we want. See, now I am designing, I can't remember how I did that before, but I'm designing it with the mistake that you can see now. That's a beautiful thing, because you can see the mistake, you learn from it, and you fix it. If you done this immediately when you go to new and you create, you know, a custom node, you cannot do that, and that's really a big mistake. So don't design things immediately in the custom node. Really good habit to keep it that way in the Dynamo environment, so you can test as I'm doing right now. So 1 is not our friend, so it's really good idea to have a -1, and that will keep the 0 one, the first one, and they keep the 10 one, and getting us rid of the 21, the last one. Let's test the theory again. Don't trust anything unless you know, see it by your own eyes. That's 1. That's 0, sorry, and that's number 1. Exactly what we want. So the testing loop here is working perfectly, and we managed to drop the list. Now the one last thing, those are again in a list condition, and it's a nested way. So it would be really beautiful to get you a flatten node, and this dude will just get us rid of the nesting thing and change those into lines, because usually going to give that as an individual beam, so you don't need to sublisting anymore. So by that, which is might be guys a good idea to change that to flatten list underscore horizontal lines or whatever. Okay, so remember those are the horizontal guys. Now it would be really nice if you select those guys and just, you know, copy paste them down, and those take from the list shift dot indices, which I for some reason forgot to shift and copy. Now it's a mess. It's okay. Now what we need is, you know, to understand again how this dude is working. So those guys is when you click on the first, the second, and the third. So you see it's going that way. Now you need to transpose this, sorry, so you can get this one, and that's 2, and that's 3. So as the name, just transpose, and this dude, this function or this node, it's gonna do the job for you. And when you do that, have a look. It was like 1, 2, 3. Now it is 1, and then 2, and then 3. That's what we want. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. Don't forget to deselect, otherwise you're gonna have a number here, sitting all the way, annoying you as much as it can. Now let's have a look. Now we have to do the list.shift, so we need to understand which is which. All right, so we need our poor thing, this guy, that testing loop. I'm just gonna take it with me here, and I'm gonna connect that guy again to see what's happening. So who is this guy? Those guys are those 3 points. It's actually have to start up with 0. So this now is 0, and that's number 1, and actually that's 0, and that's 1, and I'll just write it, and that's 2. All right, so that's probably not what we want as we get. Let's try to flip this -1 into 1. Let's see what's happening in here. So now what we got is, again, this is the 0 0 0 10 1 0 10 1 20 20 20 10 10 10. Okay, so when I select this dude here, again, which one is number 0? This is 0. Okay, and that's 1, and that's 2, which again, it's completely make no sense. Okay, that's weird. That's 0, and after that, what is 0? This is 0. Okay, so it was here, and then it was here. Okay, that's bad. Okay, how about that? That's 0. Beautiful. And when we just shift this guy, this is 0. So that make way much more sense. Okay, and then you need to start, that's the shift, okay, start from this dude here, okay, and the end point is this guy's. Yay. That's better. I was terrified. Okay, so now what we've done, again, I'm just testing, as you can see. I'm not really memorizing everything. So when I said 0, those are the zeros before the shifting thing. After you shifting it by -1, those are the zeros. So you're gonna connect from this to this, which is the 0 thing. And when you do 1, these are ones after the shifts, and these are the ones after the shifts. You connect this one to this one. That's exactly what I want. Thanks God we have this testing loop, and it was making crazy things before because I connected this guy to the upper vertical loops. So you have to select this guy with this guy, horizontal with horizontal, vertical with vertical, don't forget. Otherwise you're gonna get these creepy results. Now, what do we have in here? Of course, an extra lines. 3 groups, right? If you don't believe, just connect this dude again and just hit 2, and you're gonna see this ugly. Those are lines, right? Yeah, those are just making a third line from the beginning to the end. And in this case, we really need to get rid of one of those items by getting a drop.item. So we need to go there, and that's connecting this, so we need to know which is which. So I'm going to connect this one like that. Of course, there is no 2 because there is 1 group, 2 groups, so 0 and 1 only. There is no 2 in this. So when you select this, those are the first set. Beautiful. And when you go 1 and you select, This one is the next set. Beautiful working. Nothing you want to change. This guy is flattening it for you, and as you can see, they are continuous without sub nesting. There's no sub listing in here, so everything is perfectly well done. Just remove that and change this guy to be vertical, and just try to remember, because if you change the axis when you create the points, you know, the vertical will be horizontal and the horizontal will be vertical. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go File, I'm gonna save, I'm gonna give it a name, which I already give. It's a grid point to horizontal and vertical lines, and it's just for the video so I can remember, because I already created that. So that's worked perfectly, and you're supposed to flex this guy. So when you go like 50, always work on a smaller number, and then go and test, you know, mess it up with the bigger things like you can see in here. So that's done. Now that's doing the grid point system into a line system. Everything you need is in here. All right, remember this. Those dudes you don't need. You can just go ahead and, you know, remove them. You don't need to test and design anymore. It's already designed. Those guys you're gonna get in a separated file, so you don't need them anymore. These guys, on the other hand, is what you really need to keep or to create the custom node from. Now you either repeat the whole process by going File, New, and Custom Node. That's one. Or you can go ahead and go Edit and go create Custom Node, which is this one. It's gonna ask you what is the name, so I'm gonna say a grid points to horizontal and vertical lines, and it's a flatten. Now the description, you really need to write everything down here. This node will take your nested lists of points and create or actually lines, actually horizontal lines, horizontal and vertical lines that connect the points, and flatten lines, of course. Now where to place them, you can just write the name, and I already create, you know, a special category under my name, so I'm going to keep it as that. And that's it, I believe. For some reason I can't see the whole of it, so just say OK, and immediately it will be disappear, you know, and create this node for me. Now the sad thing, I don't want to mess up my own original file, so I'm going to close this guy. Don't accept to change the saves, I don't want it, that's it. And this dude have to be closed. I'm just going to close everything. Dude, thank you. No, close, new file. Now if you close this guy and go, you know, to the add-ons, you find that you create yourself, you know, a custom node under your name. Okay, now you need to test this, so I'm gonna, you know, just again create a node, a range, so from 0 to 30, and jump each 10. That's our chain. I'm gonna go a point, and I'm gonna this one, and as I've done, I'm gonna repeat. Now I need my node. Now I need to cancel here. That's a famous error that always jump with you. And again, for no reason, I'm seeing the node working, which is really freaking me out. Anyway, I'm gonna place that. Okay, and I'm gonna connect it. And when you zoom in, and for no reason, I still have those lines. Or probably I need to, you know, it doesn't make sense for me. It would really, anything in here? No, beautiful. So just new file, and this dude. Okay. Now, let me fix this. It's already, I think, organized enough. That get the name, you get the list from here, and you get something very ambiguous here saying that you return value return. You have to fix this. I'm gonna double click on it. I'm gonna open the custom node thing, and instead of the input here, I'm just gonna say let's say list of or group, let's say grid points. Okay, when you say grid points and you just hit save, and before actually I save, I'll go here. You see that Dynamo already creating outputs for me, and now that's really neat to write something in the output more and better than variables. So I'm gonna say vertical lines like the names here. It actually should be flattened vertical lines or something like that. I don't know, whatever you want. And in here I'm gonna go horizontal lines. So I left an extra space here. Now save. When you do that, it's gonna open the definition. That's the function definition, and that's the route you have to keep always in your mind to remember to go back to it. Save this guy and now close. Now when you do, you get this grid point, and you have better input information and those better output information. After a couple of weeks, you will never remember what you are inputting, and you will never ever remember the output of this node. So it's a good idea to really describe it correctly, as you can see the text above, and you really make really well understood, well explained input and well explained output, as you can see. Now let's test. Okay, so we have points, or let's go point here. So that's my points, and then we really need to make from 0 to 20, jump each 10, and connect that guy and connect that guy, and then lace them to the cross product, and then connect them, and to get that perfectly working without the headache. This guy is just simply flattened all the lines for you. That's all the horizontal line, that's all the vertical lines. And you can see, you can test this. You can just get item at an index. You're supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't need to flex. And the vertical one again, or horizontal one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not even gonna flex this. You can just count. That's a good thing when you make a small grid instead of a big one. So anyway guys, I think that's enough for the explaining how to change the grid of points into a horizontal and vertical line set so you can use them in the design, or to use them to create a reference for beams, structural elements beams. And it's also a good example to create a custom node and how to deal with that. And always remember, it will be part of the add-ons. That's your add-on and that's your grid definition. And I show you where the definition will be saved. It's a different route inside the main directory of Dynamo. Thank you again, guys, for the watching. I really appreciate if you can hit like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a good day. Bye-bye.